We are now headed towards World War III. This is what experts have been telling us for quite some time, simply because of a miscalculation or miscommunications, or in this case, a misfire. What happened just recently is that it looks like, according to US officials, Russia is behind the Azerbaijan plane crash, according to early indications. 38 of 67 people on board were killed in this crash. Now, this is what many experts have been saying is a cause for concern. All it takes is for one miscalculation, one piece of miscommunication, or a misfire, and we'll be headed towards a world war. So I'm going to break down what's going on, what we have just seen, and all the information, all the reports that we are now getting. So I'll break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So yes, it is true. According to US officials, Russia is behind the Azerbaijan plane crash. It says the passenger jet was flying from Baku, Azerbaijan to Grozny, Russia. Now I want to show you where exactly that is. Okay, this is very important to know. Here we go. So here's Baku, Azerbaijan. Now, we got Russia, okay? Russia's all the way over here, but also it dips down here next to Ukraine. This is why it's such a big deal. Look at this, okay? So Baku, Azerbaijan's down here. Grozny, Russia's up here, okay? Now, you're gonna see why that's such a big deal and why this over here is in red. So I'm gonna show you that in just a second. But first, let me show you this clip. Listen to this.
At least 29 people survived the initial crash, including 3 children. Stunning video from inside the plane as it was still in the air shows people calm even after oxygen masks dropped. The flight took off from Baku, Azerbaijan early Wednesday, heading to the Chechen capital of Grozny in southern Russia. The aircraft was diverted due to fog, according to Russian state media reports. Tracking data from Flight Radar 24 shows the plane making a figure 8 near the airport in Kazakhstan, then sharply gaining and losing altitude in the final minutes before impact. The Russian Aviation Authority quickly blaming an apparent bird strike for the devastating crash.
So a bird strike, that's what they're saying. Well, listen to this one, because this is showing and saying it's not a bird strike.
Learning from 2 U.S. officials this morning that there are early indications that the Russian anti-aircraft system may have struck the Azerbaijan Airlines plane that crashed in Kazakhstan. The officials add that if these indications prove true, they would further underscore Russian recklessness in its invasion of Ukraine.
That's the big one. It's going to further underscore the recklessness of Russia in its invasion of Ukraine. That is what many people have been saying, and this is exactly what I've been saying for years, is that if Russia has a miscalculation or a misfire, whatever it may be, this is going to push us all into a war. Now, I want to show you this, okay? I want to show you this map. So this took place right down here in Azerbaijan, up here into Grozny, Russia. Well, here's the problem, okay? So obviously this is in Russian territory. You know, Russia shot down their own plane. That's concerning. It's concerning for the citizens of Russia as well. But this is why it's an issue. Ukraine is here, okay? Russia's been launching missiles into Ukraine and just recently into Kyiv. That's a huge problem, but what if this goes into Belarus, into Poland, into Hungary, right? What if it hits a NATO ally? What if Russia, okay, has a misfire, miscalculation, and it strikes a NATO ally? That would put us into World War III. This is why many experts say that this is just the beginning. This is where we're seeing Russia is losing all sight of what they've been doing. And they're now trying to win this war in the next less than 30 days before President-elect Donald Trump steps in. Now, I want to play another clip for you. Listen to this one as well. Again, extremely important.
What's the latest then on these reports coming out of Russia that seem to suggest that it wasn't bad weather, it wasn't a malfunction or a bird strike, but it could have been a Russian air defense system that brought the plane down.
Yes, these claims casting doubt on one of those official allegations from Russia that there was indeed a bird strike. And if you see the images of the plane, there did appear to be signs of, from the face of it, bullets or indeed shrapnel that hit the plane. And we are now hearing from the sources in Azerbaijan, talking to the Reuters news agency, believing that Russian air defences were responsible. They are trying to repel drones from Ukraine as the war does go on. And one of those sources saying that this preliminary investigation is pointing to the communication systems also being paralysed by electronic warfare systems on that approach into Grozny.
So their communication systems were impaired. That's a big deal, okay? That's a huge deal. Now, the fact that 38 of the 67 passengers on board were killed in this crash, that's concerning. But, again, this is just the beginning. Okay, I want to read you something else. Look at this. It says the Russian government on Thursday warned against spreading hypotheses about the cause of the crash. It says the investigation is underway. And until investigators make their conclusions, it would be incorrect to make any kind of hypotheses. So, we cannot do it and nobody should do it. We must await the end of this investigation. Now, this is something that could take a little bit of time. It's not just going to happen overnight. But here's the concern. We cannot go off of what Russia's saying. We can't just go off of what a Kremlin spokesperson is telling us. Because the Kremlin has been telling us, lies for several years. It's nothing new. But, and again, U.S. officials are looking into this. And the fact that U.S. officials are already coming out and giving their take on it, it's concerning to say the least because, again, we don't know. We don't have all the information. We're not on the crash site, right? We have no clue. But Russia is saying that, no, this isn't on them. It wasn't their air defense system that shot down this plane. It wasn't their telecommunication systems were compromised because of what they have going on, right? It has nothing to do with Russia versus Ukraine. It was just a malfunction. It was a bird strike, right? Just a simple issue, right? No, it's bigger than that. Now, here's where we're at today. Donald Trump is waiting until January 20th, 2025, until he steps into office, before he can actually negotiate this peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. According to Russia, they've already pinpointed several countries that would actually host Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. They won't host Vladimir Putin and President Joe Biden. They're going to wait until Donald Trump steps in, and then at that point, they will actually host the two world leaders, and then they can negotiate this peace deal. But at this time, we're sitting here waiting. Like I said many months ago, all we're doing is waiting. We're just buying our time until January 20th. And at that point, according to Donald Trump, he said years ago that if he was president, it would take him less than 24 hours from being president, and he would have this war ended. He also said last week that this war between Russia and Ukraine is a little more complicated, a little more complex, and it's going to be more difficult to negotiate a peace deal than he thought before. But this also is because of all the different tensions that are going on right now and what President Biden has been agreeing to and approving for Ukraine to strike deep into Russia and for the U.S. military to provide more support to Ukraine than we have in the past. So again, at this time, a lot of issues, a lot of problems, but we're going to see what happens moving forward. The only thing I can tell you right now is yes, we are very close to a world war simply because all it takes is a miscalculation, a miscommunication, or a misfire, and we're at war. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.